Okay, hello, here's my Technics 1210 MK2. Let me see if I can show you better what I mean with the stains on the description. I'll turn the light on. Yeah, that's gonna show you better. Okay, there's some stains, and I'm gonna start with the stains because it might seem to you something weird. It might seem weird. As you can see, this turntable's in beautiful condition. Just look at those corners. Just look at those sleek lines. There's not even a single scratch. There's might be a couple, but tiny ones. These are just stains. These happen, or this tends to happen to dark turntables through the years. These turntables being in the same place for almost 20 years. I think a little bit more. This is a classic turntable, and if you guys and girls out there know about turntables, I'll show you how it sounds in a minute. And it sounds amazing. It blew my mind. Okay, there's just this stains. There's a couple scratches where the hinges meet with the male hinges with the receptacles, and I did those myself. There was just when I was while I was being when I was trying to carrying them out. So let me take this dust cover off so I can show you better. The dust cover is the original one, is the one that came with the turntable. There's a lot of scratches on the dust cover. The turntable had a pile of vinyl on top of the dust cover, and it was surrounded by vinyls on all the sides. So, and it was actually placed on a pile of vinyl as well. So there's some here. I don't know if you can catch those. That I did those myself. Now I think it's in the other turntable that I did create. I did cause a couple scratches. But just look at the platter. Just look at that platter. Beautiful. The turntable was owned by a collector, like most of my turntables come from. Collectors and record collectors and audiophiles are just trying to get rid of their collections and things like that. They want to get money to buy the new one, which is $4,000. So, and this is the way I like to do it. Just look at those lines. Look at the corners. It's just those stains. The turntable was exposed for almost 20 years, placed in the same place for almost 20 years. This is a real vintage one. Just look at that peach. It looks to me like it has never been used before. There's some dust inside, but let me give you a better view of the peach. See that? Never DJ. Look at the corners. Look at that. Not even a single scratch. Just those stains. Look, I'm not gonna mess around with those stains. I'm not gonna try to clean them up or anything like that. If you are girls or guys interested in, if you guys can take those stains off the turntable, that's good. That's amazing. But I'm not gonna do anything. I usually don't do anything to my turntables. I just brush them off. If there's a lot of dust on them, I just brush them off, and that's it. I'm sorry. Look. Just look at that. Pristine conditions. It's beautiful. It's just It's just the stains. And this is the other thing that the turntable had the RCA. I'm sorry, the power cable and the RCA cables uh, underneath one of the feet. I think was one feet in the back. It's been like 20 years underneath. Kind of like holding all the weight of the turntable for like 20 years. So it had a small reaps. It wasn't reaped off at all, or no, just little reaps. The inner cables, as you know, the power cable has two inner cables. One is blue, one is green, and those were intact. There's nothing wrong with those inner cables. They're just a reap, about two or three reaps. One was a big reap, the other one was really tiny, and the other one was barely noticeable. It's just three reaps which I fix here. This doesn't mean that you have to replace the power cable. Let me show you something here. Let me set this aside. Get your better view. So the power cable had to hold onto the turntable, the turntable's weight for like 20 years on this part right here. Right here. So what I did is I put some heat shrink tube in it. I cut the tube in half, and I put two heat shrink tubes, and I tape it out with some electrical tape. But this doesn't mean that the cable was ripped off, or that I cut it and then I just put it back in and snap it back on, things like that. No, the cable is functional. I just covered up the ribs, to extend its life. You don't have to replace the power cord, and there's nothing wrong with the power cord. Let me try to put my camera on a better angle and show you something that I want to show you. I don't know how can I do that. Let me try it here. So if you can see that, look, there's nothing wrong. This is the power cable. It's a 1210 dual voltage. See, I just wanted to make it look a little bit decent. I didn't like that exposed rip and exposed cables, things like that. It was just a small rip. Look, that's it. The cable is complete. It's all together. I didn't cut it and size it or anything like that. The same thing happened with the ground cable, which it was underneath one of the feet as well for like 20 years. This power cable, the prompt, this is the head. This prompt had a little rip in here. I don't know if we can catch that. I don't think so. But I did the same thing with the ground cable, and this ground cable I had to cut it because it was almost ripped off. So I had to cut it and resize it and then put it back together with the same thing with heat shrink tube, and I tape it up with I cover it up with some electrical tape. This ground cable, I had to cut it, but not the power cable. I had to cut it and put it back on, put it back together. That's what I did with the ground cable, but not with the power cable, which is a totally different story. I just don't want to have these cables exposed, and things getting inside, dust, water, whatever. So that's what I did. But the cable is not ripped off. It's complete. It's a complete cable. The inner cables were not damaged or anything like that. I just wanted to make it look decent and it tried to extend its life. That's what I did. Okay, now let me show you. Let me test all the sound, but I'm gonna make another video because this is already a 10 minutes video and it's gonna be too long to upload and things like that. So I'm gonna start in the same place, same scenario.